Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. It's Tobago Thursdays, and this morning we are chatting with the president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, Mr. Reginald McLean. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show.
Not a problem at all. How are you doing this morning?
Pretty good. Waking up in Tobago is always nice.
There's no need to rub it in. I'm already a little bit jealous as it is. Um, so let me get into congratulating you because you were appointed to the board back on April 8th, if I'm not mistaken, yeah?
Yeah, that's correct.
So tell me about the new direction that the board has taken. I understand that you have committed to a few areas of concern, namely refinancing and restructuring of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited in the first instance. Tell me about that process and what it entails.
Well, now that I'm back in Tobago, I'm saying back in Tobago because 89 to 99, I was here. I was actually also on the board of the association back then. Um, I noticed that Tobago really hasn't moved forward in such a manner that it should have. So we decided to make some changes and try and push to get Tobago back on the front burner, so to speak. So it's a matter of trying to make Tobago better, as Tobago is a tourism-based economy, and we'd like to see everybody in Tobago grow with that. As regards to our number one item on the list, refinancing and restructuring of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited (TTAL) and representation of the Hotel and Tourism Association on the Tobago Festivals Committee. You have an island that needs every island needs the government in some way or another to help with marketing of the destination, and TTAL is that agency that is so inclined. So what we need to look at is more funding into TTAL to create awareness of the island of Tobago on the world market. So it's a matter of more funding, more direction into where that funding goes, and that's why we're speaking how we're speaking, because we are the ones that know where the business is coming from. We are the ones that know what is needed, and we need to have more dialogue with the government agencies to ensure that these markets are actually where we want our funds to go. Um, and it's just not just putting ads in papers and all of that. It's to do with our feet on the ground in the various countries abroad, the people who represent the island of Tobago, and work with the tour operators, etc., to get us the business here on the island.
How do we measure the funding investment and the returns on that investment when you talk about putting the direct funding and targeting ads especially and putting feet on the ground? That's a lot of investment that we're talking about. How do we measure the return on that investment?
Well, you're measuring that by your arrivals. When you see the arrivals coming out of Canada, or out of Germany, or out of England, or out of the US, you can say, okay, we are targeting certain areas. Are these people coming from these areas? If it's not working, you change what you're doing. But we kind of know the markets and know where we have to get the business from. So we target those markets. But what happens is when you put funding into an agency, certain amount of those funds go towards, in Tobago's instance, goes towards paying for the aircraft to come into the island. That's a big chunk. And when you take that out of what you have and you add two big trade shows like World Travel Market in London or ITB in Berlin, and then you look at what's left, there's not much left. So the funding right now is just too low for the island of Tobago.
I hear you. So let's get to the second point on the list, the repeal of the Foreign Investment Act. Tell me why you would like to have it repealed.
I, if memory serves me right, that came in 2007. And if you looked at what happened in Tobago shortly thereafter, all of a sudden you saw a major decline in arrivals into Tobago going into 2008, 2009, etc. People got a little edgy on Tobago, especially people who are looking to come here, buy a house, build a house, whether it's on an acre, 3 acres, 5 acres. The climate of the country changed in such a way that people who are looking to do guest houses, bed and breakfast, hotels, whether it's a big hotel, a small hotel, they kind of shied away from Tobago because of this act. So we just want changes made to it. I mean, it would be great to repeal the whole thing, but everybody talks about protecting who we have here, the locals, the Tobagonians, the transplanted Trinidadians, etc. But at the end of the day, look at history, look at what happened after 2007, and nobody could tell me that things didn't change. So we need to sit down with those in authority, whether it's the same government now or a new government come 20th of April, and really thrash this out and make it work, because right now it's not working.
So you're telling me that you've seen no uptick in the arrivals since 2008 when this act that's come into play? There's been
Well,
no, I mean, like,
2007 it came in,
right, and you
so
said from
yes.
2008 there was a significant decline in the arrivals, right? And you're saying since from then,
I'll give you a little idea of this year, for example, Blue Waters in to date. This is our high season that we have just come out of. 43.25% for the year to date. That is to this morning. That's not good. We are normally 80, 85%. And that decline started happening way back 2008 after the introduction of this act in 2007. So there needs to be some changes to that, if not repealing it completely. And let us try and get Tobago on the right track moving forward.
all right, Mr. McLean, I just want to be clear on what you're saying here. You mentioned the 43%, and that has been consistently happening since 2008, yeah?
It's been worse. And then with COVID, that shut everything down. But it
Well, of
has
course.
been worse. We're trying to get it back up. And it's a long road, because you don't have the Foreign Investment Act, proper act in there, and you don't have the marketing dollars inside of there. So even though we as a hotel are marketing ourselves along with the destination, obviously, that the reach is not there. So one goes with the other. You have to have the marketing dollars. You have to look at the act and change the act to allow for easier foreign access into this country.
And that's foreign investment we're talking about, not just foreign access.
Correct.
Let's get to the third point, which is the access to 3% of the 10% room tax currently paid by hotels. So, if I'm not mistaken, the government collects 10% of room tax currently, and you're saying that you want to be able to access at least 3% of that 10, yeah?
Correct. 3%, not 3% of the 10%. We want 3%. And that money could go straight into the coffers of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, as well as our counterpart in Trinidad. And it could also go into the government coffers in THTA, etc. But we want to have a little bit more control of that, in the sense of directing it to where it needs to go. But that 10% room tax, where does it go? It goes straight into the coffers of Trinidad and Tobago. So where it's collected from tourism, none of it is divested back into tourism. So that needs to happen, and that needs to give us the marketing dollars that Tobago so desperately needs, as well as Trinidad.
So it's interesting when you say none of it goes back into the destination or into tourism, because you also mentioned earlier that the government does put money into TTAL, for example, as one of the places. And I know you're saying it's not enough money, but generally speaking, we always pool those resources together and then distribute accordingly, whether it be from tourism, from oil and gas, from wherever the income comes in from. We pool all that money together and then distribute according from central government.
I agree with you on that, but I'm going to throw one quick thing out to you. When last have you seen Trinidad and Tobago, and more so Tobago, because we're talking about Tobago today?
Right.
Ads out there, different things happening in different countries of the world that specify Trinidad and Tobago or Tobago. It's just not there. So obviously something is not working.
Right. I hear you. I know that Tital has been on the show before talking about some of the trips that they would have made to promote Destination Tobago as well. So it's not that nothing is happening, maybe not enough is happening, and we could definitely see an increase in it to have an increase in the arrivals and the income of people coming to the island for sure. Tell me about
for example, we did this show in London in November,
right.
World Travel Market, which was a great show. And you've seen from the arrivals of the English into Tobago, In March, we were supposed to do ITB in Berlin. We have Condor coming into Tobago once a week during the season. And what happened there? We never went to ITB in Berlin, which is the second largest tourism fair. So obviously the money is done, and the money is done before the next budget comes out, which I believe is in August or September. So if there's no money to market an island, how do you move an island forward? Why is Tobago constantly having to pay for seat guarantees when our sister island of Trinidad does not? And that money also comes out of the TTAL marketing fund. So something is wrong somewhere, and we need to fix that. We need to free up some funds for destination marketing.
I hear you. And you also want to free up some funds for development of an airlift growth plan. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that's a three-pronged approach. One has to deal with CARICOM and intra-regional air travel, where the tax on our average airline ticket to the inside the Caribbean is 40 to 60%. And it's cheaper for me to go to Miami or New York than it is in most cases to go to Barbados or even Grenada next door. So that's one. The second one is the airlift, domestic airlift. We need a revamping of CAL's system and how that works because it's not working. We need to get back the flights that we had prior to COVID into Tobago out of Trinidad. We need an update and a change of the CAL booking system because it's not work. You can't even cancel a flight if you so desire. You can't book a flight. Right now, I'm trying to get back to Trinidad to vote and I can't. So it's a double pronged sword there with CAL. You have the ferry system that works well. Again, I can't get on the boat right now. Then you have the third prong, which I've talked about, which is the international destinations. We have a lot of planes going into Trinidad, very few into Tobago. And Trinidad is well established with the business community, a lot of business travelers, a lot of vacation travelers going in and out. So they don't need the seat guarantees that Tobago does. But Tobago is not given a chance to develop its product. And until we are given that chance and the flights start coming in properly, we are going to be left at a disadvantage. And CAL, on the other hand, on the international stage for Tobago, every time CAL needs a bailout, the bailout comes from our tax-paying dollars, whether it's Tobago dollars or Trinidad dollars. Why isn't Tobago given the benefit to uptake its tourism product, make Tobago viable, even if at the end of the day, CAL's expense a little bit, but in the end, it's going to pay off. Every other island that CAL services gets the brunt of our flights. If there's a breakdown in a plane that's normally coming to Tobago, it's taken off the Tobago route and put on to somewhere else when there's that breakdown. So there's a lot of little things in the background that need to be fixed for Tobago to move forward again.
Now, Mr. McLean, it sounds like you have your work cut out for you if you want to do all this overhauling and consultation with these various arms that are required to make the whole thing work. Have you reached out to anybody yet, and what has the response been so far?
We've reached out to everybody that needs to be reached out to. Prime Minister, Minister of Tourism, Minister of Finance, Tobago East, Tobago West, the head of the THTA, Secretary for Tourism for the THTA. They've all gotten letters signed by me, which we've done through the association, outlining these points and outlining that we need to sit and have some chats and figure this out because we just spent a lot of money building a new terminal building here in Tobago that has a capacity, from what I understand, of 3 million people. And I think right now we probably have somewhere between 40 and 60,000 arrivals, if that, coming into Tobago. So something needs to be fixed. Yes, we need more rooms. Yes, we need more rooms of better standard. Yes, we have a lot of rooms in Tobago that need refurbishing. So again, these are things that need to be looked at in ways that the tourism sector can be helped so that it could start producing what it needs to be producing.
You didn't mention what the response was to the letters that you sent out.
Oh, no response to date. And
All right. Well,
on the platforms, I'm going to make a big and bold statement once more. There's nothing happening on any political platform about tourism. It's really I'm wondering if we're trying to diversify our economy or if we are not, because to me it seems that we are going nowhere. I mean, the PNM put a few things out on there, on what do you call, whatever you call the thing,
the manifesto.
the manifesto. You're not seeing much on the UNC side. I haven't seen anything at all from a patriotic front. So we want things on the platform now. We want to know what you want to do, what you're going to make promises to us to do. You want us to vote? Let us know what you're going to do for tourism. And Monday's election, so it has to happen very quickly.
All right, Mr. McLean, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I do wish you all the best in your endeavors, because I know it's going to be a very difficult road ahead to try and wrangle all these things and make them work in the way that you think that they're supposed to be working, yeah?
There's a ton of other things, but these are our focal points right now to get tourism rolling.
All right, well, all the best to you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much as well.
Take care.
Okay.
That's Reginald McLean, the president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, chatting with us about some of the things that he thinks needs to change to improve the tourism product that we have in Tobago. Let's take a quick break and come back.